other non-kitchen things that show up in the kitchen. So if you think back to when I talked about the flexible structure method, A, we're talking about developing habits. Okay, so that's a really big thing. And B, we're talking about having the right tools. So, for instance, my first thing in terms of backpacks and stuff like that would be, where is the best place for backpacks? Every house needs a landing zone and a departure zone. Sometimes those are the same place, and sometimes they're not. So that is something to think about. So when everybody comes home, and when you know what everybody's bringing, so kids have the backpacks and all the other school accoutrements, and parents tend to have other papers, mail, groceries, toiletries, all that kind of stuff. So where's the most logical place for it to land, and then what needs to happen next? And that's one of your biggest, what I call a power question, is what needs to happen next. So whether you're talking about a piece of paper, whether you're talking about a toy, a backpack, whatever, the question is, what needs to happen next? Because if you don't want it in the kitchen, then you have to figure out what's going to happen to it. So with, say, for example, the backpacks, you have to decide, okay, if they're not going to go in the kitchen, then where else are they going to go so that the kids can reach them to take out their homework and then to put back in their homework? And is that particular spot where they land also the spot where they're going to depart the next morning, or do they need to put them by the door? And that's something really only you can answer given the configuration of your house. But part of that too is having a habit around the homework piece. So, does everybody take out the homework? Do they do it at the table? Do they do it at a desk in their room? So that piece comes into play. What about things like permission slips, or if you have to sign a behave 10 minutes, if you have to decide, if you have to do a, sign some kind of a paper or something like that, how does that happen? Do they bring it to you as soon as they come in, or do you do that after dinner? So forming some habits around that particular piece is equally important. Now, when we're talking about paperwork, we're also talking about mail and stuff like that. So having, and I can do I've just finished teaching professional organizers a 6-hour class on how for them to help clients deal with papers. I deal with papers all the time. That's what people most likely call me about, or if they call me about something else, they also want help with papers. Papers are a huge thing despite our, becoming paperless. So, some of it is, okay, well, what are you guys going to do with the mail that comes in and the other papers that you may bring in, receipts, stuff like that? What needs to happen next with that? Is there a resting place where they go until you can process them? Because usually if you're coming in with the kids, you're not able to actually deal with it right that moment. So maybe there needs to be a bin somewhere that collects that, and then you create a habit around, okay, well, after dinner I'm going to take 15 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever to process those papers. So some of it is that particular piece. Now, if it's not, if it's not papers, if it's not, backpacks, if we're talking about, obviously if we're talking about food and you're coming into a kitchen, then the food will go away somewhere in the kitchen at some point. If you're talking about other purchases, clothes, toiletries, things like that, some of it, again, is going to be developing a habit around that. So my habit is to put things at the bottom of my stairs, and then I take them up when I go. So that could be a habit because at least it gets it out of the kitchen and on the way to its final destination. So that's one particular thing you can do. You could, as far as children's toys, telling them they have to take them right away before anything else happens, before snack, before homework, before TV or other electronics. Toys have to be put away. Whether it's the Happy Meals or anything else they happen to take with them. So a lot of it is really around forming some new habits. And as I say that, what I just spoke through is a lot about habits. You're not going to form those all at once. That's where you start with something really little. So you start with, okay, for this month, or for the rest of this month and maybe even March, because it takes anywhere between 20 and 90 days to form a new habit. So maybe the habit for the family for the rest of February and all of March is to put bags, whether it's a backpack, a purse, something from Target, whatever, to put those near where they're going to end up. So, you know, if it's a backpack, it goes in the landing zone. If it's a Target bag and it's going upstairs, it goes to the bottom of the stairs. If it's a purse, again, you have to find the proper place for it.